A man walks into a room and doesn't check to see who's looking at him. He doesn't adjust his posture, doesn't scan for approval, doesn't measure himself against the other men present or calculate his standing with the women. He simply exists. And somehow, that becomes the most magnetic thing in the room. This isn't a strategy. It's not a technique you can fake. Women can smell the difference between a man who's pretending not to care and a man who genuinely doesn't need anything from them. The former reeks of effort, the latter creates a vacuum. Most men spend their entire lives performing. They perform competence at work. They perform confidence at bars. They perform interest in conversations they don't care about. They perform desire for women they're not even sure they want. All of it is a bid for validation. Tell me I'm good enough. Tell me I'm interesting. Tell me I matter. Tell me I exist. The performance never stops because the hunger never stops, and women sense it immediately, not consciously perhaps. But somewhere in their biology, they register the need emanating from him like heat off asphalt, and need repels. Then something shifts. Maybe he gets older. Maybe he gets tired. Maybe he builds something that matters more than female attention. Maybe he just stops caring whether anyone notices him at all. He stops performing, and the women who ignored him for years suddenly can't look away. This is where it gets interesting, because the change isn't in him becoming more attractive. It's in him becoming unavailable in a way that has nothing to do with relationship status. He's unavailable emotionally, psychologically, energetically. He's not playing the game anymore, and that makes him the only player who matters. Women are trained from birth to read men, to assess their intentions, to measure their interest level, to calibrate their own behavior based on male attention. But when a man genuinely doesn't need validation, there's nothing to read. He's not leaning in. He's not leaning away. He's not managing her perception of him. He's not trying to impress her or seduce her or prove anything at all. He's just there, present, but not pursuing, engaged, but not invested. And it drives women absolutely insane, because the entire female playbook is built on manipulating male need. Withhold attention and watch him chase. Show interest and watch him perform. Withdraw and watch him panic. But none of it works on a man who doesn't need the validation she's withholding. He doesn't chase when she pulls away. He doesn't perform when she shows interest. He doesn't panic when she withdraws. He just continues being exactly who he is. This creates a psychological crisis for her, because her entire sense of power in the sexual marketplace is based on her ability to grant or deny validation, to make men want her, to control their behavior through her attention or lack thereof. But you can't control someone who doesn't want what you're offering, so she escalates. She becomes more available, more flirtatious, more direct. She does things she would never do for the men who actually pursue her. And he barely notices. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because he's genuinely ambivalent about whether she's interested or not. His life doesn't hinge on her approval. His happiness doesn't require her attention. His sense of self doesn't need her validation. He's complete without her, and that completeness is more attractive than any physical feature or social status or wealth could ever be. This is the paradox that most men never understand. They think they need to become more impressive to attract women, more successful, more confident, more dominant. But what actually makes a man irresistible is needing nothing from her at all. Not her sex, not her approval, not her presence, not her validation. The moment he truly doesn't need it, she can't stop herself from trying to give it to him, because female desire is fundamentally reactive. It responds to what it can't control. It fixates on what it can't predict. It obsesses over what it can't capture. A man who needs validation is predictable. His behavior can be shaped. His attention can be won or lost based on her actions. But a man who doesn't need validation is a mystery. He can't be manipulated because he's not motivated by what she can offer. He can't be controlled because he's not afraid of losing her. He's free. And freedom in a man is the most erotic thing a woman can witness. This is why women lose their minds over men who are genuinely focused on something else. The artist absorbed in his work, the entrepreneur building his company, the athlete perfecting his craft. It's not the status, it's not the money, it's not even the passion. It's the fact that he doesn't need her to feel complete. She's optional. And that optional status makes her desperate to become necessary. Most men spend decades trying to prove their worth to women, trying to demonstrate their value, trying to earn attention through achievement or appearance or performance. And it never works, because the trying itself broadcasts need, and need kills attraction. The cruel irony is that the moment a man stops trying, the moment he genuinely doesn't care whether any particular woman is interested in him, that's when women start competing for his attention. Not because he's playing a game, but because he's stopped playing entirely. He's building a life that doesn't require female validation to feel meaningful, and that life becomes infinitely more attractive than any performance could ever be. This doesn't mean he's cold. It doesn't mean he's unavailable for connection. It doesn't mean he doesn't enjoy female company. It just means he doesn't need it to survive. And women can sense the difference between a man who wants them and a man who needs them. Want is attractive. Need is repulsive. The man who no longer needs validation has crossed some invisible threshold. He's moved from scarcity to abundance, not in terms of options, but in terms of internal completeness. He's whole on his own. And wholeness is the rarest thing in the modern world. Everyone is incomplete. Everyone is searching. Everyone is trying to fill the void with external validation. When a woman encounters a man who isn't searching, who isn't trying to fill any void, who seems perfectly content whether she's there or not, it triggers something primal in her. She has to crack him open. She has to find the need. She has to locate the wound that makes him like every other man. But she can't, because there isn't one, not anymore. He healed it himself, or he learned to live with it, or he built something that matters more. Whatever happened, he's no longer playing the game where female attention is the prize, and that makes him the most valuable player on the board. Women will tell you they want a man who pursues them, who makes them feel desired, who proves his interest through effort and attention. But watch what they actually respond to. They lose their minds over the man who doesn't chase, who doesn't prove anything, who seems utterly indifferent to whether they stay or go. Because deep down, they know that man has something every other man lacks. He has himself. And you can't fake that. You can't perform it. You can't learn it from a book or a seminar or a dating coach. You can only earn it by genuinely stopping your need for external validation, which most men will never do. They'll chase validation until they die. They'll perform until they collapse. They'll need approval until their last breath. And they'll never understand why the man who stopped caring gets everything they're desperately trying to earn.